basically in my pajamas, but I wanted to film this video. Love is not enough to sustain a relationship, and I used to think that that was a very ignorant, stupid thing to say. But now I know it's true, and as a little kid that knows nothing about life, I want to talk about that. There's just so much heartbreak in the world, and people do such crazy shit for love. The more I live, the more I realize that love guides every action of everyone's lives. Nothing hurts more than losing a loved one, either through them dying or through a heartbreak. And nothing feels better than being in love and feeling truly loved by someone, which I think is why people get so dumb and blinded by love. Love is a bitch, but it's also the best thing we can have in life. So how can we work towards healthy love? I'm going to be talking specifically about long-term relationships in this video, and so I just want to give a disclaimer beforehand that I do know not everyone wants a long-term relationship. That is completely fine, and I think the first question we should even ask ourselves when we're dating is, what do I want? Because all of the movies and series and people we talk to, they talk to us and they show us content that is very much on how to guide you to have your forever love, how to have a marriage that lasts 50 years. And so I think it's very common for people to not even sit down with themselves and ask themselves, would I like to be putting up with the same person for maybe 50 years? Is that the lifestyle that I'm rooting for? For a lot of things, there are right and wrong scenarios. But for this, there is no right or wrong scenario, but I don't think people question enough what they want. Also, people might want a forever love, but might not want to be monogamous. There's a whole big spectrum of all of these things. The big thought of this video is something that I've come to grasp over my short dating life of having basically a 4-year relationship, then being single for a year, and then entering a new relationship. So it's not like I have this very huge, wise bouquet of stuff. But something I've learned through this and through talking to friends is that a lot of people, and including me sometimes, don't think that they are worthy of a real, respectful, nurturing love. Like, we boycott ourselves and we don't even know it. Imposter syndrome in relationships exists, and so many people stay in relationships that they would tell, if their friends were in the same relationship, they will tell them, get out of it right now, and we stay in it. And why do we do that? That's what I'm trying to understand. So much of our relationship behavior comes from our childhood. So much of everything about us comes from our childhood. I mean, I feel like people should take a bachelor degree if they want to have a children, because there is like infinite ways that you can traumatize kids. Just kidding. But yeah, a lot of relationship behaviors we have come from our childhood, and I think there's generally two behaviors that we adopt. We either mirror what we saw at home and we feel comfort by what we saw at home, which means that if one of your parents had a lot of red flags, maybe because you're so familiar with those flaws, if you find a partner that has the same flaws, because you feel like you know those and you've dealt with those for so long, you kind of feel comfort in those red flags because it's familiar. Is that making sense? Like, if you grew up in a household with a lot of yelling, you might also yell, or at least think that yelling is normal, and don't really make it a big deal and deal with a lot of yelling from your partner, or you yourself yell a lot. The other behavior is we try to look for the exact opposite. So we won't tolerate yelling. We'll be very firm about not wanting yelling. And this could be with anything. It could be with cheating, with the substance abuse, with like all the flaws that someone could have, from the little things about washing dishes habits to big things. We either, I think, mirror it, or we try to find partners that do not have those flaws. But that can also blind us, because we might think that we're safe because that partner doesn't have those things that we think are very bad. And then we don't see the other bad things that there are because we're unfamiliar with them. And we think that, okay, if this partner doesn't yell, if this partner, I trust that he will never cheat on me. If this partner does X, Y, Z, I'm safe. And then we don't realize that there's like a whole new world of bad things. I do think most of us still normalize a lot of things we shouldn't, like yelling, like not being spoiled here and there, like not feeling respected or not feeling free. We normalize being disappointed. We normalize lowering our standards because we also probably have a lot of people in relationships around us that lower their standards. We're afraid of living relationships because we're afraid that we won't be able to get more, or we're afraid that we're asking for too much and that what we wish for doesn't actually exist and is too good to be true. I see this big social media trend of people being like, don't settle for less. You should be treated like a princess, and if you're not, you should kick your boyfriend in the butt. Your boyfriend should buy you flowers every week, and if he doesn't, dump him. Like, don't settle for anything less than an absolute prince. First of all, the whole don't settle for less conversation on social media, the whole you deserve this and you deserve that. Not everyone deserves that. You only deserve, in my opinion, as much love and respect. You always deserve love and respect, but you can't demand it unless you are being as loving and as respectful as you want the other person to be. So before we start cracking eggs in people's heads, let's look inwards and ask ourselves, am I being the partner that I want my partner to be? A great example of this is if you're a girl and you like boys and you're like, I would love my boyfriend to give me flowers. Have you ever given your boyfriend flowers? Why haven't you given your boyfriend flowers? Or something that you know he really likes. A little spoiling treat. In heterosexual relationships, I do love and appreciate a lot of traditions of boys doing certain things for girls, but I also don't think that girls should just sit and expect to be treated like a princess, because the princess also need to be spoiled. Have you been present with your partner? Have you supported him? Have you made him feel unconditionally loved recently? Have you been paying a lot of attention when he speaks and making him feel heard? I think humans struggle a lot with balance. We either run to one extreme or we run to the other. There's so many dysfunctional relationships, and there's so many people that go on so many dates every year and never actually end up committing to anyone because they have just such unrealistic standards and this list of things that the ideal person needs to fulfill. There's this concept I've talked about previously from a book that is basically about how the latest generations are kind of against on the whole settling thing because of the internet and of the dating apps. We think we have an infinite world of possibilities of partners, and so it psychologically gets harder to settle for someone because we're always like, if I keep scrolling every day on dating apps, I might get to someone better. Or we're like, I didn't feel those big butterflies in the first date, and that means he's not the one. There's this very unrealistic, idealistic version of a partner that is boycotting us because we can be presented with a lot of great people, but that illusion makes us always be continuing the search. We never want to end the search, because if the search is infinite, then there's infinite possibilities and infinite worlds where we could find someone that maybe we think is cooler. There's this study that was made where two groups of people bought a t-shirt. One of the groups was told that they could exchange the t-shirt in 15 days. The other group was told that they could not exchange the t-shirt. After those 15 days, they asked people how content they were with their choices of the t-shirts, and the people who could not exchange the t-shirts reported being a lot more happy than the ones that could. The thing is, the people that thought they could exchange the t-shirt for the 15 days, they either exchanged it, or they were always thinking, or did I make the right choice? There were so many cool t-shirts, maybe I should go and change it for another one. There was always the possibility of maybe they didn't do the right choice. And so the ones that were told, you buy the t-shirt, you choose your favorite one, but then you can change it, they didn't have that world of possibilities because they knew they would stick to it, so they didn't think more about it and they were happy. Can you see how that is interconnected? Everyone has flaws. Everyone has bad days. I think the most important things in relationships, going back to the first part of the video, is love and respect. So I do think that the only two things that a relationship needs to succeed, even if it goes through bad times and tough times, is love and respect. I hate that there are so many factors inflicting with whom you are besides, do I love this person and do I feel respected and can I respect them? Like, I think a lot of people don't end their relationships because they don't want to be lonely. A lot of people can't afford rent if they're single and are not splitting it, so they stay in relationships. A lot of people think that they're too old to get into the dating world. And time passes and we don't realize that the person that we are choosing to share our lives with will have such, even if you're the most independent person in the world, they will have such a huge impact and influence on you, on your mood of how you wake up in the morning, of how you deal with problems, of what options you consider, of how ambitious you are in your work, of which city in the world are you living. And while that might feel daunting, it should also feel comforting when you're with the right person, because you know that whatever is best for you will be besides that person. I think I myself have a very limiting belief that I don't like, but that I have, and I'm gonna admit it, which is that divorce is a failure. That if I ever get divorced in the future, that will be a failure. When I do think a lot of people nowadays get into marriages or relationships and don't take them as seriously as before and are very comfortable with just getting a divorce, which is fine, okay? It's fine. I would only get married to someone if I actually truly believe that I wanted to be with them for the rest of my life. And so that's why I think that this is a limiting belief, again, because I think if you get divorced, if I would ever get divorced, I think that it would be after trying literally everything for the relationship, and it would mean that I was sure that I would be happier outside the relationship than I was in it. So it is a win. It is something great because I'm choosing something that will make me happier, but I still know that I have that limiting belief. So how can we work towards a healthy love was the question of this video. I think definitely the concept of not being afraid to settle and realizing that we might be living in an delusional world of possibilities is very helpful. Also, not asking more from our partners than what we also give to the relationship. And also understanding that just as important as love is in a relationship, respect is as important as it. I think it's so easy for us to love the drama and love the unhealthiness and love the toxicity because it's the chase and it's the instability that is kind of addicting. I'm starting to wonder whether this video even made sense. I wrote many more. This video was supposed to be like a relationship tips video, but then it was super long, so I kind of cut the script in half, and so the tips are going to be another video, and this was more about. And so this was just more about respect and healthy love and me dabbling on all of these things that maybe are very useless to be talking about. I don't know. But I just want this video to be like an open journal, and I'm still experimenting, so it's okay. Please comment. It would help me a lot because I'm here like exposing very random thoughts, and I just want to feel like I'm not insane. That was all I had to share for today. I have no idea if this was even freaking interesting, but I want to be doing this videos because they feel interesting to me, and this felt interesting to me, okay? See you soon. I have a fashion channel where this all started, and an Instagram. You can follow me there. Bye.